Okay, short run and long run costs. First thing we need to talk about is what is the difference between short run and long run. And I'm going to use our group project as an example of how the short run, long run cost works. So, okay, short run costs and long run costs. We're going to focus more about short run costs. I'm going to talk about like exactly uh in our short run costs, we're basically going to be looking more about. Okay, so if we're looking at the videos that Miss Lim said, the main difference is short run cost and long run cost is that the short run cost is only for when you change one input. When I say change one input, I don't mean change the quantity of one. I change the input by one. I mean change one type of input. Long run cost, on the other hand, is when you change multiple inputs. I'll show you an example of both. So, okay. So short run cost would be something like, for example, uh, when you're looking at, like, say, let's say a McDonald's. Let's say we take a McDonald's as an example here. And if we want to talk about changing the input, for example, the number of employees in this McDonald's, if we're changing the number of employees, like for example, at first start with one, then maybe I increase it to maybe four. Then this is talking about short run cost because all I'm changing is the number of employees. So one, two, three, four. So in this case, I'm only changing one input, which is the number of employees. The number of employees is what changes. And maybe the color of the McDonald's, but that's irrelevant. But yeah, so number of employees is the only thing that changes. Long run costs is more about like if you change multiple inputs. For example, maybe you're changing the number of employees. You're also changing the number of stores. You're changing multiple inputs, changing number of stores. Maybe you're not just looking at one McDonald's, you're looking at five McDonald's. You're also maybe changing the what is it? The amount of potato supply, things like that. So if you're changing multiple inputs, this is referring to long run costs. So yeah, short run costs are just talking about one thing. For example, in this case, it could be number of employees, or maybe you change the amount of flour used to make French fries, and you only keep it to one thing. That's also an example of short run costs. Long run costs if you do multiple things at once, multiple things all at once. But if I just talk about like changing one input like individually, like for example number of employees, or if let's say I want to increase the number of ice cream machines, uh then this is referring to short run costs. So yeah, this is what we call the short run cost, which is basically where you just change one input. Long run cost if you change multiple inputs. Okay, scale of 1 to 5, how is everyone doing on the difference between these two?
Okay.
Hmm. Youngmin's okay. Rest of you? Just for reference, one is like you feel like you're not sure. Five being you fully understand. So on a scale of 1 to 5, how's everyone doing? Three is like you're okay. Like you're not fully understanding. But you're not ununderstanding either. Okay. Hmm? Okay, Alif. Uh, all right, cool. So let's talk about short run costs. Short run cost is the one that we're gonna be mainly looking at when we're talking about your ATC, your MC, your AVC, whatever. So I think the important thing here is to recognize between each and everything. So let's first talk about your what is it? Let's talk about your MC. Maybe not your MC. Maybe the best thing to talk about is your FC. So there's two types of costs you need to recognize. Fixed costs, which is FC, and it's referring to costs that always stay the same, no matter the number of product. Whereas variable cost, VC, is the cost that change based on number. So I'll give you an example of a case of the difference fixed cost and variable cost. So if let's say we have fixed cost and variable costs, a great example of this is let's say I buy a factory. When I buy a factory or a warehouse, for example, this factory is what we call the fixed cost because I buy one of them. And if I only make like let's say in this case in this warehouse I'm making laptops. And if let's say I only make one laptop, then I still have to no no matter if I make one laptop or if I make 10 laptops, I still have to pay only 1,000 for the entire warehouse. So this warehouse is what we call the fixed cost. The cost that stays the same. So if I were to put this into a table, because most of the time this kind of question will appear in the table, uh, we'll usually have the quantity here, and then you usually have like the fixed cost. What will happen is that no matter how much you increase the quantity of the laptop, your fixed cost will stay the same. Like when you have 0 laptops, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever. Your fixed cost here, you'll notice is always 1,000. Even if you only make one laptop, you make 2 laptops, you only need 1,000 to your fixed cost always stays at $1,000 because all you bought is just the warehouse. Also, hello, Rishikesh, welcome. We changed topics to short run and long run because we noticed that was actually a bit more high priority compared to elasticity. So let's just say that.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, so fixed cost is basically cost that always stay the same. So for example, the fixed cost in this case is the cost of the warehouse. So yeah, that's what I call fixed cost. Cost of the warehouse. So basically, these costs never change, no matter how many of the product that you produce. If you produce one of it, you still pay 1,000 for warehouse. Make two, 1,000. Three, 1,000. Even if you make like let's say 400 laptops in the same warehouse, the fixed cost always stays the same at 1,000 because you only pay 1,000 for that warehouse. So yeah, that's fixed costs. On the other hand, your variable costs is what change is what will your variable cost will change based on the number of the product you're buying. So let's say for example the cost the cost to buy materials, or let's say for example you want to make French fries, right? Like let's say you have French fries. The cost to buy potatoes is let's say $1. Each potato costs like 1 ringgit. Okay, I'm gonna make the quantities a bit more consistent. So the cost to buy potatoes is like 1 ringgit. So in this case, or maybe let's say two. So this doesn't get too confusing. The cost to buy one potato is 2 ringgit. And whenever you want to make one box of French fries, let's say, you need one potato. So one potato costs 2 ringgit, let's say. And well, let's say I want to make one packet of French fries. Then the cost of making this French fries, or at least the variable cost of making French fries, is 2 ringgit because I need to spend 2 ringgit on buying the potatoes for the French fries. If let's say I want to make more French fries, let's say FF, let's say I want to make two, then I need to buy 4 ringgit worth of potatoes. If I want to make three, then I need to buy 6 ringgit worth of potatoes, and so on and so forth. In this case, however, for 400, it would be like something like 400 times 2. So, and you need to buy 400 potatoes. It would be like 800 ringgit to buy all potatoes. So the key point here is that your variable cost will be changing based on your number of product that you produce. Okay, scale of 1 to 5. How's everyone doing? 1 being you're not sure, 5 being you feel confident about this so far. And now I'll go into average variable cost and average total fixed cost. Sorry. All right, I assume everyone is fine. Now, of course, this leads me into saying, total cost is the sum of both costs. So in this case, for example, your total cost of producing 0 product is 1,000. If my total cost of making one French fries is 1,002. if my total cost of producing two French fries is 1,004, and so on and so forth. So, but of course, this is not what we want to talk about the most. I think you guys already know, but the thing we want to talk about the most is your average variable cost, average fixed cost, and average total cost. I'm gonna go into all of that in a bit. So yeah, we're gonna make this into a new slide because I realize I'm running out of space. So this is what we call the short run cost. So yeah, the average, your total cost and your variable cost are like this. So I'm gonna erase the picture of the house, and of course I'm gonna share the link to this slide. So if you want to check previous slides, let's say you get lost while I'm speaking or I'm speaking too fast, I have this. I'm gonna send this slide in the chat. That way you can just go back to previous slides and try to make sense of it while I teach. Okay, so while I'm here, uh, okay, so cost to buy, let's say one potato. So now we're gonna go into what is average fixed cost, what is average variable cost, and what is average total cost, and what do the curves mean? Why are the curves always like, oh, like this, and then like this, and then like this, or whatever? There's a reason for that, and I'm gonna show it to you. Because your variable cost might not always stay the same now. I'll explain what that means. So going back to that table that I just deleted as well. Your quantity is, let's say, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Don't I need to explain too much on this? FC is, let's say, 1,000 because I bought the warehouse for 1,000. And it always stays the same. And then your variable cost is the cost of potatoes. But of course, variable cost does not only include the cost of potatoes. You might also need to include the cost of potatoes and also the cost of the number of trucks you need to transport the potatoes. Because the more potatoes you buy, the more trucks you need to buy to purchase those potatoes. So the cost of trucks to carry those potatoes, stuff like that. So you need to consider all of these things. Cost of trucks to carry potatoes, cost of trucks to carry your French fries as well. That's also an example of a variable cost. So the more French fries you make, the more trucks you need to make, of course. So yeah, this is what we call a variable cost, where the cost varies based on number of products. So for example, maybe I start with just, oh, I buy one French fry and I want to sell one French fry. I might only need to buy the potato and I can just like walk to the person and sell the French fries to them like without needing the truck. But if let's say I'm going to like maybe okay, I didn't really think this through, but let me just change this to, let's say, 10, 20, 30. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Let's say this is 20, this is like 40. Then maybe, but then later when I have like 30 packets of French fries, it might be hard for me to carry. So I get my friend to drive to help carry the potatoes in their car so that I can sell them at the local market. And the cost that I need to pay my friend, let's say 10 ringgit, for example. So now I not only have the cost of potatoes, I might have the cost of me buying my friend's car or me buying my friend's services, basically, or getting a Grab, something like that, essentially. So it might be different. For example, notice here that I only needed to spend RM20 on potatoes. I only need to spend RM20 on potatoes. But here I spend RM20 on potatoes while also spending RM10 on gas money to transport the potatoes, for example. So yes, your variable cost can change. And this is what we'll be exploring the most later on. Then let's say it can be like 100 because maybe I need to, once I go to 40, I need to ask another friend to help out. So not only is this like RM20, then plus RM10 for a friend. Maybe this one I also need to buy RM20 worth potatoes. And I also add another friend as well to the equation. So this is friend number 2. And then so on and so forth. And then sometimes your cost can increase even more because you're buying more friends to help carry your French fries. So that can happen. Your variable cost will not always be constant from point to point. Okay, so now total cost is going to be just the sum of FC and BC. So TC equals FC plus BC. Your total cost is the sum of both. This one I think is quite self-explanatory. I don't need to go into it too much. You just notice 1000 plus 0, 1000, 1000 plus 20, 120, 1020, 1040, 1070, 1100, and then 1150. Now, the next part is the more interesting part that we do want to get, which is, for example, AFC, AVC, and ATC. And if you really want to go further, MC. So, but I won't overwhelm you first. But okay, the main thing about AFC, AVC, and ATC is that the way that you calculate all of them is the same. So for AFC, it's just you get the fixed cost, your FC divided by quantity. Because average is basically referring to what is the average cost of each product. So for example, in this case, if let's say, okay, for 0, I don't really have an average fixed cost because I don't have the product. So the first line, I'll put that. Before, let's say I have 10 I make 10 French fries. The average fixed cost of each French fry will be the fixed cost over the quantity. So in this case, it'll be 1000 divided by 10, which is equal to 100. So notice this, right? My warehouse cost, the fixed cost of buying the warehouse, which is RM1000, and I only make 10 French fries. Your average fixed cost, you'll notice that the average fixed cost per French fry packet, per French fry box, basically, is equal to fixed cost divided by quantity, which is equal to 1000 divided by 10, which is equal to 100, which is a lot for a French fry box. So you can see how here my average fixed cost, not total cost, right? I think I need to put the F to be a bit longer. Your average fixed cost for each French fry box was 100 ringgit because I need to spend 1000 ringgit on the warehouse, and which meant that for each of these French fries, the average cost of each of them turned out to be 100 ringgit. So yeah, and you can keep applying this to the rest. So this one will be 1000. At 20, it'll be 1000 divided by 20. So let's say, for example, I do FF is equal to 20. Then it'll be the same thing. So 1000, because the fixed cost is always the same, divided by 20. And then you'll notice it decreases. And this is one of the more important parts about this entire thing. Because you'll notice that your average fixed cost will always decrease. 100, then 50, then let's say in 30 it will be a bit different. So 100, then 50, then I need a calculator first. But I think you guys get the idea. 1000 divided by 3 will be like 333. Wait, no. 1000 divided by 30. So 33.33. So you notice that the more of the potatoes I produce, the more worth it is for me to buy a warehouse. Because the cost of buying that warehouse is spread out amongst each of the products. So FF times 30, then you get 1000 divided by 30. Then you'll get like RM33. So you notice that as I keep making more of these French fries, the average cost per French fry packet, the average fixed cost rather, will decrease, which makes it more worth it for me to buy the warehouse. If I only make 10 French fries, it might not be worth it to buy the warehouse, because at 10 French fries, you're basically saying, oh, I'm going to spend 100 ringgit on each of these French fries. So just to make each of these French fries, because that's how much I spent on the warehouse. But when I produce more and more, I'm making more use out of the warehouse, basically. So yeah, there's that. Okay, what question do you guys have about this? About the fixed cost? Or maybe a scale of 1 to 5. How's everyone doing on this? On fixed costs. Notice then that this
Okay.
means all right. Notice then that this means that your your fixed costs, your what is it? Is it price or no, not price? Amount and then quantity. I don't think it's amount, just so you know. It's not I don't think it's the word is amount, but uh this means that if you have an AFC curve, it'll always be decreasing. Because when you make more and more products, the more you're making the use out of your warehouse. Kind of like how when you buy a Netflix subscription, to make your Netflix subscription worth it, you want to watch more and more movies. Because if you buy your Netflix subscription for 1 month and all you do is just watch one movie, you're basically spending like 10 ringgit. I don't know what the price is for Netflix subscription actually. But let's say it costs 10 ringgit to subscribe to Netflix and you pay 10 ringgit just to watch one
It's
movie.
actually 10 ringgit.
Yeah, it'd be 10 ringgit. But then when I watch like maybe 5 movies, then it's easier to justify because each movie will be like 2 ringgit per movie. Something like that. That's kind of which is why when you buy a subscription for Netflix, what you want to do is you want to watch more and more. You want to watch as many movies as possible. So you can kind of say, oh, it's worth it for me because I get to watch so many movies just for 10 ringgit. So yeah, that's how AFC works. It works on that same principle. Okay. Yeah, I assume everyone's fine on this because I just checked chat. I think everyone is fine. Average variable cost is a bit different, where it will start to decrease. Actually, in this case, I'm not very good at like showing the decreasing part. Uh, but yeah, usually what will happen is that for your variable cost, it will decrease at first. So for example, this is 20 divided by 10. This will be 2. And then this also become 2. Because notice that all I had to buy were just potatoes. But then later on, when I add in other variable costs, like 70 divided by 30, it will become like 2 point something, 2 point something something. I can't really calculate that right now. 100 divided by 40, on the other hand, will be like 2 points. Basically the cost increases. So yeah, 2.5. Causes of market failure. I would love to, but the thing about market failure here is that uh in terms of your econ coverage, what I did notice is that your market failure is only in section D. Maybe it is in section A, but we don't know about that yet. Which is why for now I want to focus more on what's in section C and section D first. And this just happened to be one of those. And luckily, Short class also appears section D. The reason why I do it like this is because section D, if you skip one of the topics, like let's say you don't study market failure, you still have 3 other questions to go through. So for now, I might not prioritize market failure. Just saying. So yeah, that's basically that. Yeah. So average fixed cost, average variable cost, uh, and then average total cost. But yeah, Itaja, is that okay? Hmm. All right, all right. Okay, so yeah. Okay, I'll start up a new meeting link so we can go into more about short run. But I don't think I need to go too into detail about the rest of these. The point being is that your ATC is you calculate by doing FC over quantity. Same idea applies to A your sorry, not ATC, pula, AFC. Your AVC is calculated by doing your variable cost divided by quantity, and your ATC is calculated by using your TC over a quantity. So in this case, your AFC will almost always go down, and then it'll keep going down because your fixed cost doesn't increase. Your variable cost is a bit different. It will go down, but then it'll curve back up again. I'll explain why this happens when I can in a bit. ATC is the same thing. So yeah, it'll go down and it'll go up